Capitalism is terrible. Your problem is economic injustice.
Without K-pop, it takes the industry to recognize a certain face with success to open the gates for other people who look like them.
My generation or the generation coming after me, I think is the only way to save the planet.
Thank you so much, Vivienne, for talking to us. It's a really great pleasure.
Tafari, thank you very much for the opportunity. You know, what would we do without the social media? I wouldn't have a message.
I remember just going over this in my head. You were the first person to let me aware of climate change. I don't know if you remember, you used to do these talks. One of them was at the Serpentine, long time ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You were talking about climate change, and I was at the back, just being with, I think it was Bridget. And I was like, what is this climate change thing? And it was you who made me aware from all that time until now. And I just want to thank you that you've never given up, you've never stopped.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the press still don't talk about it, hardly ever.
Yeah. When did you first, became an activist?
The first thing I would say is that I was born an activist. And I think that all activists are the same. You think we can't accept this. We've got to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And so then you find out what's going on in the world, you know?
Right.
And that started when I was very, very young, and I first went to school, started protecting other kids and stuff, I realised.
Wow.
And so that's the first thing. I'm going to jump to punk now. The point about punk was that the hippie movement stopped because the hippies felt that somehow, the war was over in Vietnam.
Right.
But not for us. The protests didn't stop because the same people were in power that caused the war in the first place.
Yeah.
And we have this American hegemony whereby they rule the world through imposing their dollar on everybody, and through their trade, and through the fact that they have more arms than all the rest of the world put together.
The no future for you.
Yeah.
I really like this one, and this is from the playing cards, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain this one a little bit?
Yeah. He's wearing a T-shirt with my face on it.
Yeah.
And that says, I am Julian Assange.
Right.
It could be me. No, I'm not that clever, but nevertheless, I try to expose things, and you never know. I completely empathise with this wonderful freedom fighter who's been trapped. And so, he's trying to tell the truth. And the one thing that I think I left behind after punk was, don't believe what the government tells you.
Yeah.
Don't believe the newspapers. I think that got into the head of the punks at the time.
Yeah.
Not much else, but I left them with that.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he's the only truth teller.
Yeah.
If Julian Assange is free, if we get him free, then it will crack a hole in that wall of corruption, shine a light through. And we've got political corruption, and we've got economic corruption. And capitalism is completely corrupt. Capitalism is like a rotten apple. You've got to get rid of capitalism. None of the activists say you've got to get rid of capitalism. They all say capitalism is terrible, it's ruining our lives. They all say capitalism is unfair distribution of wealth, and it's terrible. But what they don't know is that there is an alternative.
Right.
But it's very, very important that he gets free, because, as I said, it cracks the wall, and we can probably get through with some other shit as well,
Yeah.
People accept corruption because they don't know there's an alternative. They think there's nothing they can do. They think they're stuck with capitalism. But I want to say to every activist, Black Lives Matter, all these people, your problem is economic injustice.
Yeah.
That is your problem.
Yeah.
And if you know the solution, you must be campaigning for the solution, because that's the only way your protest will work. Because there's been an amazing boom in protest during my lifetime. Now it's incredible. But every one of them is killed. Every one of those protests gets killed. And it will happen to everybody, because the establishment is so cruel and so good at turning all the shit back on you. Right. You're accusing them, and then they pretend it's all your fault. You're the problem. Yeah. That's what they do. Right. And they get the army in, and the public sympathise with them at that time, and you all get shot. Yeah. You know, I mean, so it doesn't work. Yeah. But if you know there's an alternative and you campaign for the alternative, then you get the government. Then the government has to do something. Yeah. But I just got to mention one thing really important. This is my strategy, it's my plan, this is what I am doing. I've just finished writing my manifesto.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
That is the strategy, what we are doing. Right. But I want to mention something, NGOs. Yes. I'm working with the NGOs, and we need to get every NGO in the world to petition governments and the general public to save the rainforest. Yes. Because we've got specific things we need to do to stop war. Yes. And we've got to get the government, you stop that fucking Bolsonaro. Yes. Yes. You know, because we can't stop him. We can do it by numbers and power. And I want to say that one proof of how capitalism has failed and it is just going to kill us is that we've had this great big boom, not just in protest, but we've had this great big boom in NGOs. How many charities are there now? Yeah. There used to be Oxfam. That was about it when I was young. I didn't remember any other charity. We are working, Climate Revolution, that's my website. We're working, all my little team, and we've got to get more, and we're going to print the playing cards and raise money and all this stuff to do this. And so I have to explain that it's actually doable. Yes,
you know, and I'm glad for this platform where people can hear and know where to go to find your manifesto and be informed and read more and learn more, and then we can take actions.
But listen, if you don't know what your target is, whatever you do, whatever you learn, whatever you know, you can't do much about it. Right. This is the important thing. It's taken me ages to say exactly, this is the target. The target is we want no man's land. Right. And what I already and I already mentioned to you that wars are fought for land and cheap labour. Right. That's it. Right. You know, and so capitalism is a war economy. Right. And I want to tell you that almost all land is privately owned. Right. And when we say land, we're talking about everything that nature gives us free. We're talking about the biosphere, all life on earth, you and me, and every little golden toad and bee and everything, and every flower. We're talking about that. Right. 7 billion people don't know we've only got 5 years left before the tipping point is over. The financial crash is here, never to recover. You know, I mean, and so we're dealing with that. Meanwhile, they're talking about COVID all the time, but COVID doesn't make much difference, really. It halts certain things, but what our aim is, we've got to stop climate change, and then we can stop COVID. It's part of it. It's a symptom of the fact that we're making all this shit. Right. Okay.
If you look at the Black Lives Matter movement, before even that, apart from Gianni Versace, you are one of the designers who have been using Black and Asian models in your shows and in the campaigns for a long time, you know, before. And I've worked with you for like maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something. And before that, you've been using Black Canadian models and the fashion industry.
No, but Saint Laurent, I mean, he was wonderful. He's my hero.
Right,
He was wonderful, you know. Iman and these people, and then Naomi was the last great one.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw your show and I saw these incredible Black girls and, you know, white girls coming on the catwalk, and I was like, who is this lady? This is insane, you know? And it took the industry so long to get to this point now, you know, because of this movement, thanks to Naomi, who's been fighting for that for such a long time, you know. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight that, you know, and thank you for being such an incredible pioneer in all these areas.
Black people are so beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
They're so different. And whatever I tell you, I don't think there's much very good going on in fashion, but Black people look good in anything. They always look absolutely great. I don't know, it's the way, whatever it is, it's something that they've got. The beat, I don't know what it is. Catch the rhythm. You know, I'm a Taoist, and that's what I believe. I believe everything's rhythm.
Yeah,
you know, catch the rhythm.
Yeah. The first time I met you, Vivienne, I think it was, you were doing a book. I think it was these Polaroids. And there were these like...
these giant ones.
The giant ones.
Oh,
that was
wow,
the first time, and I remember walking in, and my idea of fashion, you know, is like, at the time was, you know, this extravagant thing, and the designers are going to be extravagant. I walked into the room, and I think you were doing the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson dress. I think you were like hemming the dress or something. And I walked in the room, and I didn't know who you were, because I was this fresh guy from Jamaica. And I remember walked in, and I sat down very nervously. And I was thinking, where is she? Because the designer's supposed to be this, you know, this big thing that arrived. And I remember everyone came and said hi, even the Duchess. And then when you walked over, I couldn't believe it. You know, you were just really humble, sitting there, you know, doing a little thing, and it did something to me. You know, I whenever I walk in the room, I'm always remember to be humble. And because you were very, very humble, you know, and it changed me a lot and changed my idea of fashion and, you know, and all of this stuff, and even more so now, sustainability, like, you know. So yeah, I just want to recommend you for that, and thank you for that, for sure. I have to say that. I'm
going to say we're stopping now.
Yes.
Because I think I've said everything I would have wanted to say, and thank you very, very much.
Thank you too. Thank you as well.